When the evil one heard this, he tasted and kissed her and slept with her. He kissed her and slept with her, and she conceived a pregnancy from him. She conceived from him 5 angry spirits. They deny each other, and give themselves up to an unworthy, unsightly hustle and bustle. On the first day the sky split and it flashed. On the second day it thundered. On the third day the sky was surrounded by flames of fire. On the fourth day there was a quake at the gates of darkness. On the fifth day her heart began to ache, and she became sad. Her mind felt the pain of a parturient. She gave birth to 5 figures, none of which resembled the others. No one resembled the others, and they stumbled over each other. From them the error emanates. All the worlds are not up to it. When she saw them, she hit her head on the head with she hit her head with her hands. With her hands she hit her head and pulled out the curls on her head. She pulled out the curls on her head and brought wickedness to her heart. She spoke. I ran, my lord, but did not get there. I charged myself with torments. I did not see her and did not find satisfaction. I spoke and it did not occur. All my witchcraft skills were lost to me, and all my words left me. What do I gain from that I destroyed my possessions, and what do I gain from putting on my robe? What do I gain from putting on my clothes, where I have no share in the house? Tahil thought in his mind. He consulted his wisdom and spoke. I want to open up, bow down to life, and submit to the great life. It is my desire to make a garment of living fire and walk around in the murky water. In the murky water I want to walk around and specify what should happen. As Tahil planned according to the wise one whom he apprehended, life he worshipped and praised. He received a robe of living fire and walked around in the murky water. When the living fire mixed with the turbid water, there rose a result, the smell of a robe of living fire, dust powder from the earth, Siniawi. Dust rose from the earth of Siniawi and fell everywhere. All the seas were clogged, all pits appeased. Trochnis emerged, a compaction formed and fell into the water. A curtain lifted into the air and rose up and stood at the heart of the sky when the firmament was stretched out. He bowed down and praised the man, his creator, when he saw the high throne. He rejoiced and was glad at heart. He grasped the navel of the earth and wanted to tie him to the heart of heaven. When he wanted to grasp the navel of the earth, the lapse encircled him. It encircled him with the basket of cunning, who is full of false wisdom. He is full of dazzle, full of wisdom. He is full of dazzle. He is full of witchcraft. The 7 planets orbited him, and the 12 worthless fiends it encircled him. Atarpan and Lufan, the 2 princes of the world, Urpel and Marpel, which are inserted in the Tibble over anger. They circled the great Draken. They climbed up and stood at the bulge when he grasped the navel of the earth and lifted him up and tied him to the arch, when he grasped the high hoop of the firmament and tied him to his throne where the planets bound. And they climbed up and stood at the bulge. The fiends stood up and were tied up in their bonds. Your 5 handlebars, crying, woe, woe. Tahil in his wisdom sits there and asks them individually, where did you come from, you evil ones, whose figure does not come from the Father's house? When he spoke thus to them, Ruha answered him from below, we are coming, we want to be your servants, we want to come and help you. We want to be your helpers in everything you do and leave you undisturbed on your throne. We want to leave you undisturbed on your throne. We want to step up and keep the world in order. We want to be good and be devoted to you in every way. When the 7 planets spoke thus to him, he said to them, you are my sons. When you do good deeds, I will count you among my party. When Tahil spoke thus, the house was taken from him, the house was taken away from him, and the lapsed received dominion over it. How to stretch out the firmament before, and the earth had become solid due to the compaction. When Tahil spoke thus, his hand was taken away from him, Tahil clears up at his prudence and speaks, I will go up and go to my father's house. I will rise. I want to speak to my high father. Everything that you ordered me I carried out. When Tahil spoke thus, Ruha clears up at her cleverness and speaks, I want to create Hamirthas and Astartan, who should be my children in the world. The planets and their demons, let them rise to the opposition. The fiends and devas shall rise, and we want all the world. The 5 rulers of the house, let them rise up and wage war. Then when Tahil saw her, it was his cleverness that made him light up. He clenched his fist and struck at the atria of his chest. He spoke, Before I go to my father's house, I will appoint a lord over this world. The lords of the house do not know that this world has a lord. When he went to the house of life to his father, the Uthra said to him, I have created the world. Ruha creates Hamirthas and created Astartes that are veiled. She formed Liliths of any genius and species. The planets created demons numerous and unlimited. The fiends created devas as their image in the world. The 5 formed the sword, they who are used to anger in the world. Some of the images are on earth, from others in the murky water. We want to stay in heaven, but our creatures all over the world, let the earth be ours, and no one else is to rule over this world. The house that our father built us, let us dwell after him. Because we are the masters of the house, let Ruha be the mistress of our place. Ruha Kadusha with us. We want to be his guardians. The 12 stars are to step down and divide days and months. You should divide hours and divide minutes and seconds. When we do this, the whole house will be ours. From the time the earth was sealed until Adam came, there are 360,000 years. From the time Adam came to the end of the world is 480,000 years. The seven planets spread the years so that no one was too short before the other. The seductress Ruha spread the whole world. Of the 12 sons, none of the deficient had less than the other. Ruha and all planets did not suspect and did not know that the world has a lord, and he has helpers by his side. How to stand there and make plans and want to give the world a lord. There is nothing that would be endless. Tahil returned to the world again and listened to what his father told him. He said, I came here to find a lover, create a son. I want to create and strengthen it. Then it will rise and glorify the mighty life. If he stands on his feet, he will be hit by the like a wild animal by your hand. He will be with the hand. He will be beaten with the hand and instructed like the wild animal and many animals, that it will benefit because of what the planets have done. They distributed the earth, that it belonged to the bodies, that these all could eat the fruits of the earth, all of which are from the fruits of the water common. When Tahil came and said to all the planets, we want Adam that he might be king over the world. When he thus spoke, when they all agreed with each other, we want to tell him that we are Adam and we want to create Hawa because he belongs to us. You now tell him we want Adam and Hawa to head the whole family and to be created. When the planets spoke thus to him, Tahil was grieved at heart and said, if I alone am Adam and Hawa, the head of the whole genders, create, then what does Adam know how to start in the world? Then Tahil Uthra spoke to the planets and said to them, Adam is my son, the king of this world. That's what the planets were talking about, and said to Tahil, in trust, what are we standing on then? And what do we have power over in the world? And Tahil answered them and said, you shall be his carer and shall serve him in every way. They then created Adam and put him down. There was no soul in him. When they created Adam, they couldn't throw a soul into him. Then they called the air wind, that he may hollow out his bones. He hollowed out his bones, and a mark was formed in them. A mark was formed in them so that he would stand firmly on his feet. They called the splendor of the living fire, so that his robe might light, and let his robe make light, so that he would stand firmly on his feet. They called the haze of the streams and the smoke of the consuming fire. that they entered the trunk so that he can clench his fist and with his arms open, so that he scolded and shook himself so that he would stand firmly on his feet. The planets then spoke, and they turned to Tahil. Grant us that we may cast from the spirit into him which you brought him with you from your father's house. All the planets tried to. The masters of the world made an effort to do this. Although everyone tried to, they couldn't get him to his feet. Then Tahil arose in his enlightenment and ascended to the place of light. He stood before the father of the Uthras. Then his father said to him, "What have you done?" You to this, he replied to him, "What else I created and succeeded, but my and your image did not succeed." Then the father of the Uthras arose, got up, and went to the hidden places. He got the manna that he may enlighten all the perishable things, that he may enlighten the garment of the body of any genus and species. He wrapped him in his pure turban among the names that life bestowed on him. He grabbed him by the ends of his turban, brought him there, and handed him over to his son Tahil. When he gave it to Tahil Uthra, life called the helpers, it called Hibble, Sittal, and Anush, the Uthras, which are superior and without defect. She called them and gave them orders as well as warnings about the souls. It spoke to them, "Do you keep them, that all the world would know nothing about them. The evil Tahil do not know how the soul falls into the body, how the soul falls into the body, and how the blood in him speaks, how the blood speaks in him, and how to penetrate through it. The Adakas Mana, he was her guardian. When he, Adam, envelopes himself in the splendor of life and stands firmly on his feet, when he speaks with a clean mouth, take him back to his place, take him back to his place again, and save him from this and from that." Tahil wrapped him in his pure turban and wrapped him with his robe. The Uthra files and goes there, and his helpers go with him. His helpers go with him. They are men who are appointed over the souls. When they came to the Tibble and for the physical hull, that he wanted to throw her, the soul, into the hull, she took it out of his pocket. While Tahil touched Adam, I straightened his bones. While he put his hands on him, I made him smell the fragrance of the mighty life. The body became full of marrow, and the splendor of life spoke in him. When the splendor of life spoke in him, he opened his eyes in the physical trunk, the pagra. When the splendor of life spoke in him, Adakas Ziwa ascended to his place. I led him to his place into the house of the mighty life, up the place where the great throne is. I handed him over to the treasurers, the Uthras, who have the Jordan in their custody. Life thanked the Uthra who brought the soul. The Great One called to me, commanding, and he said to me, "Go, call a noble voice is calling, that the wicked know nothing of the soul." I came and found the bad ones, all of you, as you sit there, how the bad ones sit there and pour out witchcraft on them. About them they pour out witchcraft, and the wicked want to divide them into separate parts. When I saw her, I shone in my pure robe. I showed myself to the worlds in the rich splendor which my father gave me. I showed myself Tahil Uthra. Then he howled and wept over himself. He howled and cried over himself because of what he had done. I showed myself to the seductive Ruha, who seduces the whole world. I showed her the great mystery by which the rebels are thrown down. I showed her the great mystery, but she was blind and saw nothing. I showed her a second, so I put a camel bridle on her. I showed her a third mystery. That's when I punched a crack in her head. When they saw me, they all got scared and explained themselves. The seven declared themselves guilty. They declared themselves guilty and fell down and fell on her face. They fell down and fell on their faces. They put their hands on their faces. They spoke, "Our Lord, we have sinned and missed, but forgive us all our sins." When the wicked spoke thus, I made a breach in their phalanx. I summoned you at the great mystery that they should not sit against the soul. I hid from the seven. I forced myself. I took on bodily shape. And told me I didn't want to scare the soul. I don't want to scare the soul, and she is not afraid of her garb. I appeared to her in body shape and sat down with her in splendor. I spread splendor from the great mana over them, from the ears that had created, I sat down with him and taught him about what life told me to do. I preached to him in a holy voice, which was more noble and luminous than all the world. I preached with a gentle voice and roused his heart from sleep. I spoke to him in the speech of the Uthras and taught him my wisdom. From my wisdom I taught him and said to him that he may exalt himself and worship and glorify the mighty. He praises the high place. The place where the good live, he praises Adakis Ziwa, the father he came from. How I sat there and taught him. He stood up, worshipped, and praised the mighty. He praised his father Adakis Ziwa, the mana by whom he had been created. When he worshipped and praised his father, the Uthra, he appeared to him from the hidden place. When he saw his father, the Uthra, he was full of praise beyond measure. He sang hymns in a loud voice and overturned the planets. He overturned the planets and rushed around the lords of the world. He denied the sons of the house, and all the works that they had created he begat for the name of life, and the Uthra, who had made him hear his voice. He denied the works of Tibble and raised his eyes to the place of light. When he did this and became the Uthra of light, full of kindness towards him, he became full of kindness and had a building built for him. He had a building built for him and made him plants and planted them. He let him create a Jordan, so that when his treasure is full, we lift him up, Adam, and raise him up in his burrow, raise him up at the place of light, which his father Adakis Ziwa, and make him an Uthra in the place of light. When Ruha and the planets heard about this, they all sat there in lamentation. They all sat there in lamentation. Then they began to make evil plans. They began to make plans and talked. We want to capture and grab Adam. Let's catch and grab Adam and keep him with us in the world. They spoke. When he speaks in a gentle tone, let's talk in a rebellious tone. When he eats and drinks, let's capture the world. We want to capture the world and create different shapes in it. We want to take and practice hugging in the world. Let's practice to hug in the world and establish a church in the world. We want to establish a church in the world, and introduce him into our church. We want to welcome him into our church and catch and grab his heart. We want to capture him by horns and flutes so that he does not get rid of us. We want to create 7 figures in the world, and different species and genus. When the wicked plotted in their wickedness, did I follow good plans to do good in the world. I called the Uthras my brothers, the men who strengthened the tribe. I called the Uthras my brothers, gentle, firm Uthras. I went and spoke to the Uthras my brothers, which are inserted over the stem. Do you Uthras my brothers not know what are the planets planning? The planets are standing there planning and talking. We want to seduce the tribe of life. We want to seduce the tribe of life and cut them off from us in the world. When the Uthras heard this, the gentle, solid Uthras, they did speak. Grant us that we may plant a plantation for Adam and make his tribe numerous. We want to create Adam a plantation and plant it firmly. We want to plant it firmly and make him a wedding. We want to make a wedding for Adam, teach him, and let him take a wife. We want to get of Adam a wife and make him a companion. We want to create a companion for him and make his tribe numerous. Hymns and orders of prayer let us read aloud, and let life perform prayer. We want the planets so that they may come to our assembly. Let them come to our assembly and be with us. You should be with us, and Adam shall triumph over them all. Me and the Uthras, my brothers, donated all the best. We donated good things, and they arranged a wedding for Adam in the world. We arranged a wedding for Adam and gave him a wife. We gave him Hawa as a wife. How they had been planted in their place, we are standing there and looking forward. We are very happy about him. But soon it hurt Ruha, and the planets they all grieved, and Ruha took incense and pronounces a word of falsehood about him. The sun brought a robe, the moon brought a skirt. Nebu brought gold, Kewan boots and shoes. Bel brought bread and wine. Nerig brought all 12 stars in all generations and species. Some of them were carpenters. Some of her demons wove wreaths. Their devas were obedient servants, and gave some of them ikurs. Their hamurthas were dancers, the goblin jugglers. Myrtles brought them in loads, fragrance follows in leaps. They brought the big jasmine who came from the Skinta of life. They brought the big jasmine and they created a lack and a failure in him. They brought Maro Astagan who came from the Skinta of the Uthras. They brought Maro Astagan and they did all evil to him. They brought water mint and Ossimum basilicum whose fragrance came from the Skinta of the two pure mountains. They brought water mint and Ossicum basilicum and did all the ugly things about it. They brought narcissus and myrtle and marmahus, and they did the wrong thing. They brought all the fragrant flowers of any kind and type, and they did all the evil to him. Their goblins turned them into cooks. Their demons became bakers. Their stammerers turned them into butchers. Your shrate to bakers to bestow all their fiends. All of them were obedient and servants, and they obeyed Adam and all of his tribe, me and the Uthras, my brothers. They destroyed their wickedness. We destroyed their wickedness and created good things for Adam. We created good things for Adam, and they lifted him up beyond measure. We arranged a big wedding for him, with excellent hymns and prayer orders. We shamed the speech of the rest, destroying their rebellious reputation. We eliminated the wickedness of the planets and oppressed all the fiends. We straightened the root of life, and she won and brought victory to her whole tribe. We stayed with Adam until Hawa got her contractions. Until Hawa went into labor, we stayed with them, and I was to him a protector of women. I taught Adam to marry a woman, how men marry a woman. I taught Adam to marry a woman, and he said to me, let the tribe of life multiply. It multiplies the tribe of life, and from them the world will be awakened. The world will be awakened by you, and life will be grateful to you. Life will be grateful to you, and it will redeem them and lift them up from this world of evil. At the head of the first sex stands Adakasiwa. There was Adakasiwa, and there was the cloud of light. The light cloud was there. When her first pregnancy was Hibble, and Anathaya was born. When she had a second pregnancy, Ananasab and Anharziwa were born. Ananasab and Anharziwa were born, whose name is pleasant to the worlds. Ananasab Ziwa Sitil, and Anharziwa Hawa, who was born of Hawa, to whom the worlds and generations existed, whose name persists in the worlds at the third pregnancy. Barhaya and Demuthaya were born. Bar Anush Adam, which strengthens its tribe. Demuthaya, from which the world was evoked. Hibble, the lord of the earth, whom the world saw and feared before him. Sitil, the excellent planting. The Uthra, who consolidates the perfected. Anus, the gentle Uthra, who strengthens his tribe. Adam, the king of the Uthras, whom all the worlds adore. I judged Adam the same as the great life at the top of the building. I made Hawa equal to the light cloud, the mistress of the whole world. When I used Adam, I placed 3 Uthras over him. The Uthras I used about Adam and Hawa. I took the lead myself. I stood up and taught her miraculous hymns. I taught them prayer orders, so that they may perform the Masiktas after the manner of the Uthras. I taught them prayers, so that they may be strengthened by the prayers to life. I spoke to you. You are lifted up and strengthened. In the place where the good ones are consolidated, between the manas of light, shall you be established there. I sat down and taught her how a teacher treats his students. I pronounced a blessing on her. The blessings of good rest on you. Adam and his children and his tribe, let us look at the place of light. When the Ruha saw her, she called the fiends. The fiends called her and gave them a worthless advice. She gave them a worthless piece of advice, unfavorable for the place of light. She speaks to you. What do we gain from being in the house and shining in this world? What do we gain from the fact that we shine where we have no share in it? We have no share in it, and the whole house is not ours. Up, we want to tell the stranger that he will grant us a share in the world. If he does not grant us a share, we will stir up strife against him. If he does not grant us a share, we will leave the world immediately. We will leave the world immediately. Who then will shine in her? Shine will be who in her and enlighten the world. When Ruha and the planets spoke like this, the children of the empty space, I turned and spoke among the worthless fiends. If you want to move away from the house. I will then enlighten it alone. And I want to light up the house and keep it in perfect order. All the fiends declared themselves against him, and they went there to make secret plans, all senses of evil, and spoke, On, we want to organize a celebration. Come on, we want to have a drinking party. We want to drive mysteries of love and seduce the whole world. We want to create mysteries of magic and put an end to our world. We want to donate and eliminate the call of life. We want to eliminate the call of life. Who will call us? Let's throw a quarrel into the house which will not be settled in all eternity. Let's throw a quarrel into the house and kill the stranger. We want to kill the stranger and eliminate his whole tribe. We want to make Adam our attachment and see who will then become his liberator. Ruha and the planets then broke up and climbed Mount Carmel. On Mount Carmel they climbed. They are the mysteries of love. The fiends are sitting there making plans. They reach for the mysteries of all of them. They resort to the mystery of the Ruha. They sit there and do magic. They sit there pondering in their cleverness and speak. On, we want to organize a celebration and make offerings to her. We want to gather the 12 stars. We all want to do secret things. We all want to take oaths. And we do not want to betray the mysteries of love. We want to commit the mystery of love with myrtle and capture the whole world. We want to celebrate the mystery of love with wine and capture the world in our frenzy. We want to commit the mystery of love with water and stir up the whole world. We want to stir up all the world and capture them through the great mystery of love, that no one would know anything about us. No one would know the secret of our oaths, and we don't want to announce our speech. We do not want to announce our oaths and what we have invented in our world. No, we do not want to reveal all the mysteries, and we want to confuse his party, the party that the stranger founded, so that he has no share in the world. He has no share in the world. The whole house belongs to us. It's ours, and there is no one else in this world. What did the stranger do in the house that he could found a party in it? The gentlemen of the house did not know that the whole house belongs to us. The house is ours, and they have no share in it. They rose up and confused their works, and they were lacking and lacking and lack and failure they did to you. Because the house is not yours, the house was not yours and was not created for her sake. In the house that created the Uthras have you sent me, and the Uthras my brothers, so that I may come and put good things in it, so that I can create good things in it, that the good may see it and receive good. Let the good see it and receive good. Let them go up and see the place of light. Let the wicked see it and be ashamed. Let them sink into the furnaces of fire. Let them sink into the heated stoves. In the place from which they were created, in the place from which they were created, that's where her mind should stop. That's where your mind should stop, because they didn't do anything good. Since you have not done anything good, let them come to an end on the day of the end. They rose, held a celebration, and distributed portions among themselves. Portions they distributed among themselves, they who are unworthy of the place of light. They twisted the good, what the Lord of the world created. They twisted the right mysteries. What was the first? They twisted the speeches of truth, and they lied about it. Speeches of lies they kept, because they are unworthy of the place of light. They turned the head into a tail. They turned the tail into a head. They twisted their works and did evil in the world. They brought all the fruits that they did all the evil to them. They brought the herbs, and they were lacking and lacking. They brought the living water and poured turbidity into it. They brought the head of the tribe and practiced on him the mystery of love and lust, that all the worlds and beings are engulfed in embers. They practiced seduction on him, through which all worlds are beguiled. They practiced on him the mystery of drunkenness, by which all the worlds become drunk. They gave them to drink from the cup of drunkenness, so that they may turn their faces to the great southern sea. They brought gold and silver, as well as the pearls of this world. They brought gold and silver, and the world will become drunk. The worlds get drunk as a result and set their faces towards the South Sea. They brought money and good and did everything evil with it. They assigned the lust to the Ruha, who sees the worlds and gets into the embers. Nibu they assigned the false wisdom and made him the Lord of Love. They gave him the timpani and flutes, as a result of which all worlds are captured. Kewan they attributed the wickedness to start from the lack and failure. Samis the sun they assigned the lie to by which all the worlds are beguiled. Sin the moon they attributed the deficiency from which all the shortcomings began. Bel they assigned the mystery of water to which he stirs up all the worlds. He stirs up all the worlds and mixes the good with the bad. Nerig they assigned the weapon to wage war in the world. They called the 12 stars and assigned them the zodiac. They distributed among them the individual houses and threw them back into wickedness. Again they threw her into malice, hatred, jealousy, discord. They divided the days and months. They distributed the hours. The hours they distributed and distributed the minutes and seconds. They distributed all the defectiveness and distributed all the lack and failure. They distributed the whole world among themselves. Without remembering the name of the first life, they made their covenant, and through it amongst themselves they reaffirmed their oaths. All of you who are lying, they reaffirmed the oaths, which they had sworn on Mount Carmel at the celebration that the seven celebrated. All the eons and demons spoke, the timpani and chants spoke in it. The head of all sorcery, the head of the great capture with which all words are captured. The horns and biliaries spoke in it. The head of all sacrificial slaughter, the head of all battles with which all worlds are captured. The zither of lust spoke in it, through which the lust spread over them. They talked in it with tambourines, with which all Ruhas speak. With this all the Ruhas speak, and make a catch in the world. They spoke in it with horns, talked to everyone in it. They talked in it with the flutes of the lyre, from which all the lies emanated. They spoke in it with a strong roar, that a noise arose in the world. A roar arose in the world, that they shook the whole world. They shook the whole world, shook the earth from scratch. They shook the anvil of the earth, shook the whole firmament. The whole firmament they shook and brought captivity everywhere. The sound of her and the sound of her noise, a manna rose up out of the sea. A manna rose from the sea, and all the vines and trees were planted. When the vines and trees were planted and fell loudly into Adam's ear, when she fell loudly into Adam's ear, Adam woke up from sleep. Adam woke up from sleep and lifted up his face to the place of light. He called his helpers, called the gentle, fortified Uthras. He spoke to Hibble Uthra, to the man who had made him hear his voice. What happened in this house? What happened in this world? What happened in the house that the sound of the thunder rises up to the sky? The whole earth shook, the whole firmament was crushed. The heart of all worlds has been grasped and moved away from this place. When Adam spoke like this, a tear contracted in his eye. When Adam spoke like this, I shone in my robe. I shone in the robe of living fire that my Father gave me. I shone in the pure robe which is far and endless. I approached Adam, grasped him by the surface of his right hand, and let his heart rest on its support again. I calmed him down and told him how the seven acted. I also told him how it had happened in this place and how they plot. It is the voice of the planets who advised an evil counsel. They advised an evil counsel by saying, "We want to stir up strife." They said, "We want to stir up a quarrel." They said, "We want the world." They said, "We want the world and to create a shortage and error in it." I spoke to him, "Be calm and composed, Adam, and have no sorrow for her. Have no sorrow for the planets and about the Namrus, the mother of the world. I will grant you a spectacle to your persecutors and humiliate your persecutors. Calm Hawa your wife, and do not be lacking in yourself." After I talked like that to Adam, I also spoke to all his sons. Hibble rejoices in its splendor, and Sittel calls loudly for his helper. Sittel because of his brilliance, and Anush became of the speech that his brothers the Uthras had given him, and rejoiced and bounced and rejoiced to be heard, and they did not care about the world. When Adam ate and made amends, he called his wife Hawa and inspired her with hope, trusting that Hibble Uthra wrapped up in his place and lay down. But one of Adam's sons, But for one of Adam's sons, lack came into his mind. Lack came to mind. Sleep did not come over his eyes. In his heart it shook, and his body stood there trembling. He made evil plans, and left his father Adam. He left his mother Hawa, left his brothers when they were sleeping. He left all his brothers, and rose on the wall. He climbed up on the wall, and went to their meeting. When Ruha saw him, she laughed and was happy and was happy. Ruha was happy and was comfortable, and it pleased all of the planets. Ruha brought fire, and Samis fetched incense. Ruha knelt down in adoration. She stretched out her body and praised him. Ruha threw incense into the fire, and Samis bowed to him. Bel boastfully took myrtle and went to meet him. They stepped down, blessed him, and spoke to him. May our blessings be upon you. Kewan blessed him within. He put wine blossoms in his hand. He handed him a wreath in his hand, bowed and tasted and kissed him. Sin blessed him in the heart, and Ruha blessed him with her palate. She blessed him with Biliran and introduced him to the assembly under lock and key. When the planets surrounded him, he threw his hands on his robe. He threw his hands on his robe and shook his robe. He spat and threw out bile. He shook his robe. He remembered the Uthras, his brothers, and remembered the speech that the Uthras, his brothers, had given him. For a long time he listened to the speech of the Uthras, and let him hear until they put him at their head, until they put him at their top, until they put the cup in his hand, until they gave him the cup to drink, until they did it for the second and third time. When they did it for the second and third time, his heart was at odds. His heart fell into discord, and his body demanded dance from him. When Adam, the son of Adam, did this, the Uthras wiped out his name from the sheet. When he got into the drunkenness of the planets, he jumped up and danced in the drunkenness. When he subsided and sat down, he got up and wanted to return to his place. Then Ruha took the form of Hawa, his wife, who was his sister, and approached him halfway along the way. She made a bed of the litter, created a place of iniquity. She messed up the times. She got up and took him by the hand. When she took him by the hand, did she desire for fornication, to address you with your mouth, to surround them with the body. In the lust that had seized his mind, he spoke to Ruha as follows: Since you are my sister Hawa, where your clothes are white, why do you dress in a skirt of different colors and type? Your stature is like a tall cedar. Why do you wash yourself with water? Your thighs are vines of ether. Why are you investing in gold? Your wings, arms are sleeves from ether. Why are you putting silver on? Your head is a cloud of light. Why do you wash and comb yourself? Your eyes are shining eyes. Why do you put makeup on it? Then she answered and spoke to the prophet of lies for the deficient, complete lack and failure. Be silent, Adam. If there were no unevenness, so we would have only one nature. We would have only one nature, and as one manna we would both have been created. Now that there is unevenness, they have made you a man and me a woman. They have made me a woman, brought me and put this in front of you. They told me that you are burning with love for me, and we should do something with you, you, and that the world is to be awakened by us. When he touched and kissed her and wanted to do something with her, I appeared to him in a cloud of glory and made him hear a miraculous call. A miraculous call I let him hear, and threw his heart down from the support. I let the magic arts of Ruha slip away and showed him that she was not Hawa. I showed him that she was not Hawa. He looked at himself and was ashamed of himself. He was ashamed, and his inner man felt ashamed, and he felt guilty. He felt guilty because there was every ugly way about him. It did not give him kushta, because he had departed from the call of life. He had departed from the call of life and from what life commanded him. He had left the company of the Uthras, his brothers. He went there and loved the company of the planets. He had left the company of his wife Hawa. He went and fell into the blazing fire. He He saw the fiery furnace. Anyone who looks at him dies. Whoever embraces him burns himself. Who undresses and sleeps with her falls into the doomsday. In the end of the world he falls, and his eyes do not look at the light. I took bodily shape, went up to their meeting. All of you, when you saw me, rushed down and fell on her face. They fell down and fell on her faces. Then they got up and submitted to me. They submitted, blessed me, and spoke. Be our head and the head of our whole world. You be our head, and we want to be your entourage. The glory of the Ruha assign a place among the women. Among the women assign her a place, and you are our head in this world. When the planets spoke to me like this, the seducers of this world, when the planets spoke to me like this, I defied them and laughed at them all. I spoke to the seven who had condemned themselves. If you want me to be your head, if you want me to have a place among the women, then open up, tear up your festive community. I instructed, and leave your assembly. Share your secrets with me. Reveal to me your speeches. When I was sitting among them, I took their secrets away from them and shone in my robe. I shone in my pure robe, which is far and endless. I revealed their secrets and belied their speech. I belied your speech. They lie with their oaths, which they took on Mount Carmel, they swore. I threw Ruha down from her throne and put a camel bridle on her. I threw her down and hit her with my club, and hit her a crack in the head. I entwined her with her curls, and tied them to the heart of heaven. I grabbed Samus by the secret things, and made him like a woman. I made Rba like a woman, because he had slept with Ruha. Sin I hit with the whip, took off his robe, and took it away. I took his robe away from him, and left him in worthless garb. I left him in the garb of consuming fire, for anger was upon him. There was anger over him, and he sat in leprosy in his place. Which of the Nabu I spoke, and broke in his hand. I uncovered his nakedness, and showed his shame in the world. I summoned that the image would not be seen in the world. I grabbed the evil star. I rushed him down and threw him down from his throne. I broke his backbone and made him an object of contempt in the world. I broke it, stretched it out, and put him in hiding. I threw down the evil star so that there is no anger in the world. I beat Bel with the whip and took the crown from his head. I took the crown from his head and brought him a disease of the body. Nerig I hit with the club and dismembered his limbs. I dismembered his limbs and gave him to his priests. I gave him to his priests and worshippers so that they move around the world in the desert egg, so that they may wander in the desert egg in the world and show their follies to the world. I went against the planets, who rise above the tribe of life. I went against the planets that I threw robbery among them. Robbery I threw under her, and showed their follies to the world, what I did to the planet. Will they do to their priests and worshippers, so that they disappear from the world? When I came to Adam, I said to him, I gave you a spectacle at your pursuer. To your persecutors I granted you a spectacle, the evil family that they were murdered. All your priests and worshippers, let them be slaves to you. They should be slaves, and obey you in every way. Leniency will not be given to all planets, nor the men they worship, for everyone who practices their works is unworthy of the place of light. When I go to the house of life, I will prepare and organize the world in an excellent way. I will lift up the root of life and raise up his tribe in an excellent way. When the seven distributed the zodiac, death was imposed on the world as a punishment. Death was imposed on the world as a punishment, but the souls of the true and believing men, as well as the perfect women, they will rise up and look at the place of light. On the other hand, the souls of the planets he tied up in their guardhouses. They will be tied up in their guardhouses until your mind stops. Until your mind stops and they die and go out as if they had never been there. The gates which Ruha created, the seductress of lies, the gates that Ruha created, all will be slain by the sword. The gates that Ruha created, sitting there fasting every day. Every day they sit fasting, every day they sit there grieving. They sit there grieving every day until your mind stops. When your measure is full, they will turn their faces to the place of darkness. The gates that Mashiach created, they all accuse each other of lying. They all accuse each other of lying and do not stand there in a speech. Do not stand there in a speech because they came out of the creation of the lie. He twists the speeches that the one was created. He twists the speeches and brings folly into the world. The folly that Mashiach creates will come to an end at the very day of the end. From the gate that Samis created, whom all the world calls Adonai, from the gate that Adonai created, all the people of the house of Israel have come forth from the house of Israel. They hit each other with their hands, who beat each other with their hands. They do what they shouldn't. They do not do what they should not do, they do. Therefore they are to come to an end on the day of the end. From the people of the Israelites all the wicked have come out. The people of the Jazukians have emerged, the scorners who worship the fire, the scornful who worship the fire, who emerged from the image of the robe of Mashiach. The Jazukians will come to an end, who listen to their call. From the gate that Agzel created, which all the world calls sin. Sin calls him all the world, because his figure is ugly everywhere. From the gate that sin created, all the pains and plagues have come out. They sit over magic and witch haunts. They twist the hearts. They trap people in the world. Anyone who listens to your speech falls into doomsday. The gate that Kewan created, fear the days and hours. Fear the days and hours, and sit there fasting every day. Every day they sit there fasting and bring forth false prophets. They become faster and faster. They are sitting on a lie. You are sitting on a lie, and bring forth false wisdom from their understanding. You and the unmarried and holy ones. In total they will come to an end on the day of the end. Anyone who listens to your speech will not look at the place of light. From the gate that the angel created, whom all the world calls Bel, from the gate that Bel created, are all vote, and emanate from it are the vote and emanate who are used to anger in the Tibble. Daily, every day, they sit on the throne of indignation. They tie up, beat, whip, throw down, and ask out the one who acts for your love, but it is not completely overrun. They hit him with leather whips. For this they are to be whipped with fire whips. Gagging, tying, and hanging will not look at the place of light. Who drives their follies will fall down without getting up again. He will fall down without getting up again. He will come to an end on the day of the end. The gate that Nered created, it was created entirely in lies. She was created entirely in a lie, and they are wandering in the desert egg in the world. In the desert egg they roam around the world and show their follies to the world. The Hamerthas who emerged from it are used over the anger in the Tibble. They commit murder and shed blood. He who called them together advances at the head of the war platoon. At the head of the war train he strides to shed blood in the world. On the day he commits a murder, he is more than happy about the murder and about the benefit, and laughs in his mind. On the day when he does not commit murder, his body is stained with bitter herb. The gate that Nered created will come to an end on the day of the end. I taught you about the planets and about the gates that they created in the world. I have taught you about their works. All of them were created incorrectly. All of them were created incorrectly. Hatred, jealousy, and discord. I have taught you the secrets of the seven, and I have taught you about the 12 stars who made this division. When they made the division, they shared among themselves. When they gave the Ram his share, assigned him a number of years, they shared it as a share, 12,000 years too. They shared years with the bull, 11,000 years in number. The twins shared years as a share, 10,000 years in number. They shared years with the cancer as a share, 9,000 years in number. To the lion they divided as a share years, 8,000 years in number. The Are they divided as a share in years, 7,000 years in number. The Dari they shared as a share of years, 6,000 years in number. They shared years with Scorpio as a share, 5,000 years in number. To the Sagittarius they divided as a share 4,000 years in number. To Capricorn they shared as a share years 3,000 years in number. To Aquarius they divided as a share years 2,000 years in number. They divided the fish as a share of years 1,000 years in number. When she distributed her years and had made their likeness in the worlds, did you say, we want each one individually and will find the whole world? We want to send out 12 calls from which 12 images are to emanate. From the call that the Ram called should all animals arise. All animals should arise whose call became the evil call. He cried out for evil. He said, let me have a share in the world from the call that the bull called. called. Every kind of evil beast arose. The evil animals are created by him, who spew from their mouths. Spew the sputum from their mouth, those who chew with their mouths, because you have your inner glow out of your stomach. The creatures of these two stars correspond to each other. From the call that the twins called out, all the demons have come out. The demons have come out of him. They all have altars. They hold the altars. You have the banks. From the call that Cancer called, all the toothed animals have come out. From it the toothed beast has emerged. That was created for evil for the world. From the call that the lion called, all wild animals have come out. From him the wild beast has emerged, which is sent out against the living beings. It is sent out against the living beings, and they cause horror in the world. From the call that the Are called, all the fruits have come out. From it the fruits, grapes, and trees have come forth. From the call that the Dare called, all water fruits have come out. From him the bad fruits have come out. The world's beings are carried to the grave. From the call that the scorpion called, all the evil creepers have come out. From it the evil creepers have emerged, who kill the living beings with their anger. From the call that the shooter shouted, all anger has come out. From him the great evil anger has come forth, by which all beings are prostrated. From the call that the Capricorn called, all livestock has come out. From him the beast of cattle has come forth, whose wings are weaker than those of the birds. From the call that Aquarius called, the wrongness has emerged. There is wrongness out of him. From him came lack and failure. From the call that the fish called, all the fish have come out. From it the fish and dolphins have emerged. Everything has become evil from him. All these things have come out of the 12 stars, they say. We want to pick up the trunk of life. The 7 stars came and divided them into parts. They divided them into parts and created the vehicles at the heart of the sky. Whatever they all like to do, they say, we want to pick up the trunk of life. Let us lift up the trunk of life, who rise daily to quarrel. The planets don't know. The children of the empty apartment, that they may also have made the division. I have divided their own tribes. I have divided their tribes. Some of them are to be used for plowing, others are to be used for slaughter, others for riding, and others for eating. All the calls you have called out, they called Adam's. Because they all got their smell from the sacrifices, they who have called out, they should wander there. They are to obey Adam, obey his whole tribe. When I was so against the planets, they no longer had a language. When I showed it to Adam, he rejoiced and was pleased beyond measure. I went with the Uthras, my brothers, and taught Adam and all his tribe. I spoke to you, practice good works, and practice you to travel with food, and let the call of life be heard, so that your name may be established in the house of the mighty. Speak in pure speeches, so that you may be established in salvation as pure. Speak in kindness, and don't say a damning thing. Worship and praise the great life, and the great light that has gone here. Worship and praise the Uthras, so that they may be your helpers. A helper and a support from the place of darkness to the place of light. Blessed be life, blessed be Manda Dahaya, blessed be your name, Simai and Nidbai, Hibble, Sittil, and Anush. Life is victorious, rich in all the works. The victory was won by Yawarziwa and his helpers. This is the book of the living, first doctrine. Fourth book. In the name of the great life, may a remission of sins be granted to me, my wife, and my children, and their name will be erected in the treasure house of Yawarziwa. In the name of the great life, whether Kushta is good for the good and Manda Dahaya for the sons of salvation. This is the mystery, the book, the teaching, and the first life. This is the teaching that has always been. When the first life pondered, and Manda created Dahaya, and Manda Dahaya, Hibble created this 1,000 times 1,000 years ago, the Lord of greatness, and was hidden in their midst. Hibble Uthra, and one day he will go to Krun, the great mountain of flesh, and to the 3 worlds of darkness, the ancient ones, which the sword does not take away, the fire is not consumed, which do not sink in the floods of water. Those Krun, the great meat mountain, and the 366 devas who live with him. From those devas, that being named Ur, the Lord of darkness, is distinguished. His father has the name Gaf, and other numerous names. From his firstborn son, namely that great one, the 5 of the 7 go out, and the 12 come out, which together are 24 devas. Out of the outpouring and confusion, when he came to his mother, and went, Karkum arose. When he is in the Tibble, the worlds call him, and generations of Barsafag. And but we, with our power, as well as the life and Uthras, with the power of the King of Light, rejoice of the gentle Uthra, of the consolidated firstborn, whom we conceived and created with our splendor, with which we clothe him, with the light with which we cover him, with the strength and the firmness that we grant him. We send it against all the evildoers who think evil against us, and against the Lord of darkness that raises above us. The Uthra grabs him, squeezes his tie around him, and ties him and binds him, hands him over to the lower tax collectors of earth, and surrounds it with 7 iron walls, until Tahil comes. Artfully the earth is sealed, and stretched out the firmament, and builds the house, and all the evil ones who are thinking of evil are eliminated, so long as the bondage remains. Tiled with Hibble-Ziwa and does pass. When Hibble-Ziwa goes to all the worlds of darkness, he goes to Krun, the great mountain of flesh, and does all evil to him, Krun, the great meat mountain. Hibble-Ziwa lets her look with fear and dread and horror, but Hibble-Ziwa is not afraid of him, and Krun is thrown down. When Zirhun Uthra, whose name is Yoshmir Kana, speaks to Yadatan, the man who gives his enlightenment, who from the little finger the Lord of greatness has come forth, in the name of that Uthra, where the 2 other Uthras, Adatan and Yadatan, which on the day from whom the first Jordan baptized Hibble-Ziwa as his helpers, called forth to be. Then 6 others were invoked, Sitil and Anush, Silmai and Nidbai, Adakis, Mana, and the great mystery, whose name is Yofin Uthra, is sent, and it went with him. The great first shining that came out of the robe of the Lord of greatness came out. All the worlds of light and darkness he created a boundary. He closed the gates, climbed on the bolts, and the passport and the great mystery that we gave him, and with which we were given. Every warlike deva who saw that passport pressed his seal on it. He created peace in all worlds of light, which is unlimited and are endless. When I told all these things, the secret and revealed, and said, I worshipped, praised, and glorified the Lord of greatness, according to the wisdom and knowledge, and what else life has given me has informed. Those 1,000 years I was before the Lord of greatness, but I laid and stretched out on my face. Then the Lord called me. He took hold of me by the surface of my right hand, and directed me from my situation. Then the Lord spread the greatness of his shine on me, gave me of his light, and put me around the head a wreath of victories from light-filled arbor. This was created, and was also shined a light out of all Uthras, created all Uthras' vestments. He made a robe for the Lord of greatness. Then the Lord of greatness arose, and created at his right hand 444 shkintas, and to his left 366 shkintas. From each individual shkinta he then created 180,000 myriads of Uthras that are worth miraculous, and whose radiance is wondrous, whose light is bright and luminous, those whose shines and flickers like and shines in front of you. In each individual skinta has 2 bodyguards, and 2 lights shine in from it. What is the name of the chief guardian of the 444 shkintas? How is it, who is the chief guardian of the 366 shkintas? The head of the 444 shkintas bears the name Barbag Uthra, also Azazel by name. That of the 366 shkintas is called Anan Nasab, also Taral Uthra by name. With the name Taral Uthra he created himself at the beginning of the first creation. wherewith he created all Uthras. Manda Dahaya and the Lord of Greatness arose and ascended down to the Jordan, and the Lord of Greatness prepared baptism. As he wanted to baptize the sprightly Uthra, the tall, well-equipped Uthra, the great Jordan turned to the Lord of Greatness, spoke with him. Who is this Uthra whom you want to baptize in me? Who you and your image was baptized in me? Then, as the living water, the brightness and light of Hibilziwa, the brightness, the light, and the glory of Manda Dahaya, and the olive rod of living water, who had been created from Yokasharkana, joked about it and did not keep still, hopped and turned back and forth, equal to the waves of Cinderewoes, and the great Jordan of life. When the Lord of Greatness said to the great Jordan, You, great Jordan of life, remain calm and firm in your place, for Hibilziwa shall be baptized in you. Then the great Jordan of life turned and did not depart from the words of the Lord of Greatness, and departed from his speech not. The Jordan of living water stopped, and Hibilziwa was baptized in him. Hibilziwa was baptized, and 10 were baptized with him, his 2 brothers, baptized 4 others, who are called great. He baptized the 3 Uthras, who are his brothers and his helpers. When he baptized all those were with him, then he stood in the Jordan with his Creator, the Lord of Greatness. He spoke and sang a song about them, and Jordan spoke. At the top of the water I pulled out at the head of the fizz of life. I went there. I founded 3 Shkintas and appointed guardians over them. The guardians I used over them are wondrous, blessed, and enduring. Then Manda Dahaya consolidated the baptism. He then got out of the Jordan and closed Kushta and with the great ones, and the Lord of Greatness, as Manda Dahaya, got out of the Jordan, and his brothers who made his atonement. He, the Lord of Greatness, responded to Manda Dahaya and spoke to him. Your shine is bright, and your light shines. The disciples shine through your splendor, and her figure shines more than all the world. He called to Hibil and spoke to him. I hear the voice of Hibilziwa, who speaks and lectures at the place of light, the voice of his speech, which is lovely. My heart was awakened to me, became full of praise. My heart was awakened to me, and my soul rejoiced. My mind rejoices and flaunts, and my heart rejoices beyond measure.